we snap for all of y'all who came, made some time tonight, this evening? Can we make some claps for solidarity and mutual aid? Yeah, we like that shit. Are we starting? Yeah? Cool. So real quick before I start, can we make some noise for, on guitar, Paul the Simple? Can we also make some noise for Gasso on the keys? Yeah. And for me if you want.
We measure ourselves against the shadow of the thing that wounds us. Ana Flores. The situation is, we've been ruptured, splintered, fractured, shattered, disintegrated for half a millennium. I think about a breaking point often, the moment we were severed. I think about what ties us so close to the ghosts of moments. I still feel the theft of something that was mine, that should have been in my hands in this lifetime. And I snap myself out of those wanderings. There's so much being done, happening, always fluctuating. What good is remembering when there's still active dismemberment? And I can't help but want more than what we've been given in this lifetime. I want none of the children on my block to hide themselves. I want none of their life givers to worry ever again. I want the backdrop to be raised, fists lowering, gripping the shotgun, cocking back, aiming at the machines of capital and wealth. I want those who dismember to remember, even if it takes severing them. Pero, ahora que? My city is being swallowed by Amazon, Raytheon, Caterpillar, ambivalent snowbirds, political grifters, delusional consumerists, the building and building of more and more homes for less and less people, the militarization of the scar con la frontera, and revolutionary dreams, prolific poems, enraged manifestos, consistent grant funding, representation politics can't cut it. Ahora que? There's an illusion the purveyors of domination convinced us of. The illusion is the absence of power in our hands. But look at them. Look at your hands. Look at your homies' hands. And look them in their eyes. The circles of our hands, the orbit of our lives cycling in this moment, the miraculous nature of us being here and being able to imagine. That is the shattering of the illusion. That is the reintegration of fragments. That's the spark to make the fuse run, to make the explosion happen sooner, to make this foundation collapse. That's how, that's why, together, for each other. Two. The solution could be a returning, a reintegration, a cycle closed, a new loop initiated. Bell Hook says, what we cannot imagine cannot come into being, so let's try that. Imagine the shadow of that thing no longer casting over us. Imagine the mutilation of the hands of capital. Imagine the new world being born as we mourn this old and bloody one. Imagine us but shimmering in joy. Filled bellies, spirits bandaged, bodies nourished, names returned, tongues restored. Imagine a new language that gives us the agency to sing the ancient song that unites everything. Imagine a beginning to the healing, to after the collapse. Imagine when everything that is said is done. ascension. I pray for my loved ones, health, the pandemic. I pray for attention. I pray for redemption. I pray that my day don't get swallowed by deception. I hate the silence, people silent through my ears, getting see with violence, fears of mine, get lost in vices, just for my bounded bias. Breathe so with blood smoke, lives wrapped around like they prontos. Find those who give us spine flows, God flows like a tributary. Got a soul that the wind will carry. I pray beyond the hands of Mary. I'm thankful for the things my mother buried. It's just be my heart burning slowly. I send love to those who hold me, to my ancestors and all my homies. Hey, 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 hey.
Hay algo brillante sobre ti compuso tu modo de ser. Hay algo brillante sobre ti compuso tu forma de ser. Que forma tu ser.
Yeah.
Make some noise for the thunder outside. Let's restart. Yeah! Yo, make some noise for human error right here. Let's go.
My bad, y'all.
You got it, you got it. We vibing with you though. fire then.
Twist your eighth, lose the weight, hold your breath.
Flowers in the deepest blue, hearts waiting to make a sound. Gravity and a full moon. It's all for you. It's all for you. And I could be something you might be waiting for. And I could be something you might be waiting for. And I
There will be a time when our words will not suffice. There will be a time where our commitments will not be enough. There will be a time when our efforts will seem futile, and during that time it's important for us to invoke spirits to guide us through. Summon the tricksters, so that they may show us a different way to challenge dominators, patriarchs, nationalists, white supremacists. Summon loving gods to once again teach us togetherness. Summon saints and offer them tragos de mezcal. Summon sinners and have them sing songs of redemption. Summon the desecrated mothers, apologize to them, and have them dance and dance and dance. Summon the babies taken away from us too soon, and have them eat, sleep, and cry. Summon Jesucristo and have him serve drinks to the parched lips of our revolutionaries. Have him serve bread for the rumbling stomachs of our warriors. Have him serve fish for everyone dancing and singing and crying. Summon La Santísima Muerte and have her keep the band playing until the moon falls, until she is singing us into revelry. Summon the unnamed ones and let's hold them close to our pulsing hearts. Have them bring their memories and their stories. Ask them to sing with us, to cry with us, to fight with us. We summon all these caring and enraged spirits so we may sing the new song that will unite everything and help us destroy this old, bleeding world.
Make some noise for Paul and Simple, for Casa, and for all of y'all. For real. Thank you.
Thank you so much for performing. Thank you for Anna and Paul. Awesome. I'm curious, starting we're going to ease into this, how do you approach music making versus your poetry making, like in your poetry collection? What are the overlaps? What does that look like?
Yeah. At this point in my life, I kind of just am like, what am I? Do I want to rap today, or do I want to like cry over some like memoir type writing? So it's the mood. So the mood really takes it. And I think before, when I wasn't really comfortable with songwriting, I would like imagine making songs, and that would get me through the creativity thing. But they overlap. I mean, it's the medium. It's just how I'm feeling today, honestly. Like, you know, Anna can see it too. We'll just be making hella just different ways of documenting, different ways of like being the scribes of what's happening to our day-to-day lives, shit that's happening in our city, and what we're all kind of experiencing on the internet, right? I think the internet plays a big part in like what I'm like digesting sometimes. So it kind of just, it's whatever the day feels like usually.
Awesome, thank you for that. In your book as well, you talk about time loops. For you, what does time look like in a new world free from, per se, the United States? How does time move differently? What shape does it take, or what shape do we realize it as?
I'm gonna say fuck the calendar, the Gregorian calendar one time. But I think it, outside of that imagination, I just imagine it being more intentional, more thoughtful with our time. You know, I feel like if our basic human rights were, upheld in every part of this dimension that we're in, and if we can uphold those for ourselves, like, time just becomes something we get to share. It becomes a resource that doesn't go away. And I think right now we're taught to I remember I was counting time by like how long the hour was, like thinking of like everything as a shift. I'd clock in to go home, I'd clock in to go, write a poem, I'd clock in, like that sort of shit. And it's been really interesting to kind of think like, how can you move away from that and then also strive to like make timeless things, right? Things that like exist without any notation or sense of time and shit. My Mercury and Gemini is like trying to figure out how to day, but I don't like time.
Yeah, for sure, that makes a lot of sense. Awesome, so I wanted to frame this question with a quote as well. This is from Mao. In our struggle for the liberation of the Chinese people, there are various fronts, among which there are the fronts of the pen and of the gun, the cultural and the military fronts. To defeat the enemy, we must rely primarily on the army of guns, but this army alone is not enough. We must also have a cultural army, which is absolutely indispensable for uniting our own ranks and defeating the enemy. And yeah, it's good. I would love it if you spoke back to this quote. What does a cultural army look like in your dreaming? What's the significance, even unpacking, like, the connotation of the violence in the word army, right?
Army, yeah, no, that's a good one. Seeing at the email, I was like, whoa, this is good. Also, all the questions you've been asking everybody have been amazing, so I must have to like. The cultural army one, I think that, I don't know, I guess it could look different for different people, right? Depending on like what your environment is, but for me, it's definitely like building the coalition, right? Between different types of artists, different mediums, but also different circumstances, right? Like for instance, I'm always thinking like, what does it look like when musicians, specifically musicians who are marginalized, come together and like, form unions or form ways of protecting each other, right? And that's one way to think about it, but then to arm yourself, right? To hit the revolution when we say fuck venues, fuck universities, fuck these MFA programs, fuck this, that, the other. All the things that keep us tied to these commitments that don't serve us, these institutions that don't serve us. So my imagining is when we all get there together, we can kind of find that we're in this together, right? We're in this to kind of find a way to message this, to spread out this idea of coming together under, a thing that unites us. I think that like, some could be like something like socialism. It could be something like humanitarian work. It can be something like mutual aid. All the shit that can just remind us that the way to be is together, but sometimes we have to fight to be together, right? To come together, to see one another, to get through conflict and all that stuff. And I think Mao was a Capricorn too, right?
Yeah, he was.
Yeah, so that's you know what I mean? Embodying the change, really being about it in your body, how you share your time and your labor, and most of all, the most priceless thing that we have is love. Right? Being able to give that shit out freely, but also trusting that people will reciprocate that honor, you know what I mean? That's what I see.
Thank you so much for that answer. What are you currently unpacking? Everyone's so nervous at this question.
It's a lot though, low-key, unpacking. The way I came to that word, it has never not left me crying. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I like this competition because then it can be anything, right? So I can cry with y'all. I trust y'all. I'm sweating up here, I can cry with y'all. Look at me. But I guess unpacking really is the way labor is extracted from our bodies day to day. Like even on the artist struggle, dude, like it feels like you can't run away from capitalism, any like intersection you hit. And I think that's like, you have to grieve that, you have to mourn that, and then be like, all right, fuck it, I'm gonna be like the most staunch hater of capitalism to get through it, right? And to imagine something else, because if not, you're kind of like, I don't know, not complicit, but like there's like a complacency that I think when we think about labor, giving it to somebody, getting our checks cut, shit like that, like it sucks because you think of like the history of, we're on a planet and we're paying taxes and we're paying this shit. You feel me? Like when you wake up from that, you're like, fuck, dude, I really have to do my W-9s and shit like that. While like wrestling with existentialism and trying to like make sense of what it is that we're doing to be free, to get liberated, So that's what I'm unpacking. That and like trying to take care of this hair. I think that's been a lesson. That's been a lesson, Just because, I used to be bald a lot. My dad used to cut my hair hella. So this is like new to me, having the hair. So I see long hair folks. I see taking care of what it is,
It looks real nice.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you for sharing all of that. It's always weird thinking about, I remember I had to do an invoice for like a university gig, and you had to write down like what it is. And I'm like, anti-imperialism poem? The contradictions in that, you know what I'm saying?
Dude, for real.
Yeah, no, thank you for answering all those questions so honestly. Where can we find more of you and support your work?
Go to this website. It's 1202, but 12 is spelled different because we don't really fuck with 12, but it is the name of choice. So it's twvotwo.com. That you'll find my music, you'll find some gospel stuff, some Follow Simple projects that we're on, and just everything you need to know about what's going good in Tucson, on the SouthSide, So yeah, thank you for this question.
Yes, give it up one more time.
Yo, give it up for yourselves, though. It's a long